Hi everyone, welcome to the Power Leader podcast and welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Jason Elrod, the CISO of Multi Care Health System. If part 1 opened the door, today we walk through it into deeper truths about leadership, trust, and the courage to grow. When you zoom out from the day to day, every leader is ultimately shaping a legacy, right? What do you hope your leadership leaves behind for the people and system you have touched?
I hope, that's a good question, by the way.
Sure.
I hope to leave behind leaders who are calmer, clearer, and more courageous because we work together.
Sure.
That's what I'd like my legacy to be.
Very nice. Helping leaders step into uncertainty is at the heart of your work with Limitless Cyber, which brings me to the meaning behind that word. Can you please share with us what does it mean by Limitless Cyber and your vision behind that?
So, what does limitless mean in this context? Limitless means refusing to let uncertainty define your ceiling.
Okay.
So, limitless is a mindset of disciplined expansion, capability over comfort. Get out of your own way because your potential is limitless. It's only defined by the constraints that you, at the end of the day, put on yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Jason. Did we talk about influence in leadership cycle?
People of purpose. And then that's bringing people in and kind of discovering, well, what is your purpose? We've talked a little bit about this. Like you have a purpose as to why you're doing this podcast.
Yep.
And I think your head's in the right spot for it because you're doing it for a purpose, not for the theater of it. I think a purpose-driven work is always more powerful than operational-driven work.
Of course. Yeah, I think I told you about my accident.
When we talked, prior, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so,
It's been finished for you.
that changed so much things in me. Couple of days ago, I got an email from somebody from England. He's a vice president, and he was saying, whatever you told about the performance review, if your manager doesn't know how to review appropriately, then you will be stagnated and stuck. And he said, I was stuck for 10 years to become a VP from a senior director. And I was like, 10 years? Why did you stay? Things like that. So I think that people are
I'm sensing a
relating.
different problem. That might be a problem, but I'm sensing a different problem.
Yeah, it's a multi-faced problem, right? It's not just
It's never just
one-sided.
one thing. The thing is
Yeah,
never what you just think it is.
yeah, exactly. So there will be lack of communication, ego issues, and transparency issues. So much.
But it boils down to fear.
Yeah, exactly. That
You're afraid of something. You're afraid of, I don't know what's going to happen. Should I ask this? Should I do this? If I get it, what will that mean? Will I be able to? It's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt that we roll into ourselves as, I think the term's imposter syndrome, right? Why look
yeah,
at me? I know me. I know all my weaknesses and how I'm not fantastic and all the things that I'm not great at. And sometimes that bubbles up and that becomes an inhibitor, an artificial inhibitor to people. Because the
sure.
fact is, in every room, you are the expert in
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah.
And you're also dumb as a box of rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Those two things can exist at the same time. And
Yeah.
that's all right.
Yep.
And don't be afraid of that. Own it because your job in that room is to find the people who are experts in your box of rocks. Hey, Dia, help me hold my box of rocks because you're an expert in this. I'm here to help you hold yours because I'm an expert in that. And together, that synergy becomes much more powerful.
Sure
And when
thing.
you own that in every room, not only do you bring humility, I'm dumb as a box of rocks and something here, and somebody here's way better than me, but you also bring your power.
Sure thing.
I am the expert and I need to share that and I need to be able to bring it to somebody else because they need it somewhere in this room.
When you touch that constant stagnation and area, you have to find out a way of exit strategies, right? Because that's not going to help your heart, right?
I'll say this about worrying about somebody else's criticism outside yourself. I mentioned briefly in hey, life hands you stuff. You have no control over
Sure.
what life hands you. You have absolute control of how you approach it, how you react to it, how you think about it.
Yep.
And that's where you divide it into those things. What's something I can impact? What's something I can't impact? I can't impact. I need to take that in as data and accept it. And then I need to focus on the things where I can have impact. And we talk about like, well, what if Dia doesn't like what Jason said? Well, if I never would have asked Dia for her opinion in the first place, why do I care?
Exactly.
And this is the point of like, don't if you never would have talked to them in the first place, then why do you care? If they're not
Wow.
doing what you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
why would you care? Because
Yeah.
here's the thing: you gotta you gotta go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's gonna make fun of you for going to the gym? Not the person who goes to the gym all the time and works out all the time. They're gonna be like, heck yeah, way to go. Come on in. They're gonna be supportive. They're gonna be the ones that's like, yes, awesome. I love people come to the gym because I love the gym. And they're gonna be more about it. You want to start people say, oh, you shouldn't go start a business because X, Y, and Z, or you're not an A,
Yeah.
B, or C. You know who you should talk to? The people who start a business. They're like, heck yeah, here's the things you need to watch out for. Great, let's do this.
Sure thing.
The people in your life who aren't doing things tend to want you to not do things as well.
That is very true. If you don't care about the other person and you don't care about what they think and what they feel and how do they see you, right? So that is a important aspect even in the professional environments. If your leader
Yes.
uh, if he or she doesn't care about you, he or she is not going to care about how do you see them, and or making sure that you are transparent, giving the right support to the person, none of that they will care. So it's unfortunate. That is
Well,
something
it's
that
unfortunate.
needs to be changed. But how many people think that way, right? How many people think that, oh, I have to improve as a leader or I have to improve as an employee? People mostly think about how do I keep my image right most of the
Right.
time.
People think about themselves 99% of the time. I mean, maybe that's a little bit harsh, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to take that into consideration because everybody takes something in. Like I could watch and say, wow, Dia, she's amazing. She does these
Mm-hmm.
wonderful things. She's doing this podcast. She's stepping
Sure.
out and she's giving to the community. She's doing Jason Elrod's 3 L's. She's delivering learning, legacy, and leverage to the environment. She's doing this right now. That's so awesome. I could never do that. I wish I could do that. And because I don't feel confident enough in doing it myself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and tear her down.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
Instead of trying to build your building up, so we're both have nice tall buildings, and we're like, these are great buildings, perfect view. I love this. I love what you've done with the penthouse.
Sure.
As opposed to building up, they try to tear you down to their level so they feel better about themselves.
Sure thing.
You know,
Yeah, that
because they're not showing up.
sure thing. Yeah, that is something about the service minded leadership and spiritual leadership. Many people in the industry, they might have titles, but they don't feel like, okay, our duty is to build somebody else up and bring the best out of them. But there are people who is very egoistic. They feel like threatened by seeing somebody else is doing something that they cannot do. They don't have the courage or they don't have the knowledge or they don't have the wisdom to do. And they try to pull that person down and to feel like, okay, I am still on the top.
Ego, it's the killer.
But the thing is, no matter what, as long as you are not ready to change, you are going to be where you are. And people who is ready to change, transformational, they are going to rise over the times. But it's the characteristics, right? It's the psychology of human being. What can we do?
It is, and I think people mistake
Mm-hmm.
what's important at what level in the role. So when you're an individual contributor, you're starting out your career at the very beginning. You know what? You need to be very technically capable
Sure.
in various tactical skills. You have to be able to do something really good. And a lot of times you can talk about the merit of being able to do things better, faster, stronger, more efficiently, with the most pizzazz and artistry or whatever it is. You have these technical skills, and
Mm-hmm.
that's very internal focused.
Sure
So, as an
thing.
individual contributor, your success is often based on a very internal focus. What do I know? What can I do? How can
Mm-hmm.
I get better? But as you move up in an organization, it's not
Mm-hmm.
about you.
Yeah.
It's about everybody else around you.
Oh,
And
sure
the
thing.
importance of relational capital
Mm-hmm.
amplifies 10, 100, 1,000-fold
Mm-hmm.
over technical
Sure.
capital. And I think people who miss that, they miss that turn on the highway. And relational capital means not just supporting yourself, it means supporting others, lifting people up, asking for help, having somebody else, being there for somebody when they need it and there's no value to you.
Mm-hmm.
Take the
Yep.
transactional aspect out of the relationship and just seek on growing it. You mentioned spiritual leadership as an example, but
Yep.
I'll say, like, here's the thing. You know what? Love. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I can say I can only give so much love because as soon as I'm done, I'm out of love. There's no more love available in the world. Sorry. That's it. There's only so much love. I've given all my love. I can give you none. I can't give any to the world. I've used up all the love. No, that's a zero sum game.
Sure thing.
You get more of that by giving more of that, and there's an unlimited amount of that. And I think when you get into an abundance mindset,
Mm-hmm.
those are where you're going to find those are the skills you need to be the best leader possible.
Sure thing.
There's not a scarcity. Scarcity and ego go together. There's
Mm-hmm.
only so much, so I've got to have all that I can have. And if anybody else has any, then that's a threat to how much I have because there's a scarce amount. There's like a fixed amount of abundance, a fixed amount of confidence, a fixed amount of capability in giving. I can
Mm-hmm.
only give so much. That's it, and there's no more giving. But if you
Sure.
come from an abundance mindset, a gratitude mindset, this goes back to being limitless. You're limitless into where you can go, what you can do, the height you can reach, the impact you can have, the leverage you can create, the legacy and the learning.
Yeah, that's
That's
amazing,
limitless.
Jason. So there is a huge meaning behind the limitless cyber. That's amazing to know. And you are speaking from my heart actually. The more you give, whether it is knowledge, whether it is support, whether it is love, the more you are going to get because that is the universal truth. What you transfer to the universe, that is going to return to you as an energy. Many people won't see life or employment or leadership in that way. It's like you are always in a box and you see through policies and you see through different type of criteria rather than seeing this as a purpose driven service level duty that you are doing to yourself, your organization and your employees and the society at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Jason. Right. Heard you talk about how most leaders think influence equals control. Can you share some of your insights about that, Jason?
Sure. Influence and control are not the same thing. They're different words for a reason. True leadership is influence without mandate, is influence without control. So control is authority based, it's short term, and it's often fear driven. Influence is credibility based, it's long term, and it's trust built. True leaders influence, managers and dictators control. And the fastest way to gain influence is to give power away intentionally.
That is so meaningful. That is wise. We talked about influence and control are two different things. If influence is not control, then trust becomes the real currency. You emphasize creating environments where people feel trusted and capable. What does a trust-centered security culture look like in your perspective?
A trust centered security culture. I think I might have mentioned it before. It looks like it's honestly a trust centered security culture is a safe culture. It's a safe culture. And it shows up, for instance, no blame in incident
Mhm.
review. Incidents happen, and so there's no blame. There's transparency on mistakes. If I make a mistake, you make a mistake. Hey, you're safe. Again, it's a safe culture. You're able to actually express it and not worry about being vilified or punished. There's clear ownership, and this is a key thing. I mean, somebody has to own the accountability.
Sure.
Everybody can't own it. I mean, it's like if you want to disperse ownership, you have no ownership. Somebody needs to own it. So clear ownership of the process, the value, the results
Mhm.
is key to a trust-centered security culture. Leaders must admit uncertainty, which means leaders have to be comfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty.
Yeah.
So you have to have the confidence to know that you're not competent in some areas. So don't pretend you are.
Sure.
So again, that's that transparency, it's the ownership of it that's being clear. And security is embedded. It's not imposed. Everybody has to own security. They have to say, hey, that's just how we do things. We do things in a secure fashion. So it shouldn't be something that comes in like, thou shalt because I said so. Sometimes you need to, you need to hold the line, right? You need to hold the line and say, you can't do that. That's illegal. You can't do that. That's super dumb.
Interesting.
So as the expert, you need to come in and do that to help build the culture. But the fact of the matter is, it's built before the problem shows up. See, trust reduces friction. And I mentioned before, trust reduces friction. Friction slows response. Slow response increases the damage that can be done when there's a security failure or a threat act has somehow been able to disrupt operations.
Absolutely. We talked about transparency and trust, and leaders often underestimate how quickly it can erode. So, what leadership behaviors destroy trust as the fastest from your perspective, and how do we rebuild that?
Leadership behaviors that destroy trust, they start with withholding information, public blame, inconsistent standards, emotional volatility, and ego protection. We've already talked a little about ego.
Sure thing.
Ego-centric decisions, ego-centric conversations tend to destroy trust. And you rebuild trust by, again, being transparent, admitting fault fast, share the reasons why to the extent you can. Sometimes you can't share all the reasons why you've made a particular decision or not because it's confidential. But to the point you can, share your reasoning. Why do I think this way? Why I came with that? I often tell folks, everybody has a thought and an opinion. Everybody has thoughts and opinions. What I look for is a well-formed thought and a logical opinion. Well-formed thought, logical reasoning. So you can come up with a well-formed thought and logical opinion versus
Mhm.
just, a thought and like think of this about that, just some randomness. I'm going to listen to it. And that's about sharing reasoning. Trust is built by delivering on small promises
Mhm.
consistently.
Sure thing.
And I'm going to probably land on that one.
Mhm.
Deliver on small promises consistently. Those are deposits into that trust bank account. Sometimes you're going to have to make a withdrawal.
Very nice. I love the way that you defined the trust. Rebuilding trust is essential for long term culture and sustainability, right? So, how does a CISO build a sustainable culture that endures beyond any single leader?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. So, how does a CISO build a sustainable culture that
Okay.
endures beyond any single leader? Because I think it's connecting to the building culture aspect of it. As a CISO, you cannot just rely on one single leader, right? So, my question is, how does a CISO build a sustainable culture that endures beyond any single leader?
A sustainable culture built by a CISO is really focused on attachment to the purpose of the organization.
Mhm.
Number one, understand the business, understand the purpose and value of the organization. Then tie your cultural work to that. So you're going to build culture through hiring. I mean, that's at the very beginning. When you're hiring someone, make sure that there's an attachment to purpose, or at least an ability to explain and align with the purpose of the organization. So
Sure
step
thing.
one, hiring. You build culture through promotion criteria. So in order to be promoted, you have to exhibit these things, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be transparency and then holding on to those promises. You do these things, it's going to prepare you for that next promotion, that next role. So again, being very clear, being very accountable on that.
Sure thing.
Make sure incentives are aligned. You can't say, make it secure and make it 100% accessible from everybody. Fast and secure don't tend to go with one another. So make sure that your incentives are aligned. So what you're doing, what you're saying, and everything stays in a coherent fall line.
Sure thing.
As a CISO, you need to model the behavior. It cannot be do what I say, not what I do. You have to be congruent. You have to be do what I say and do.
Sure.
So you have to own it. You have to, this is how I act. This is where it is. Act with high integrity. And you know what? Like I said, all those things, be transparent, describe your reasoning, know where you're going. So people can model that behavior. If you want the behavior to happen, you model it. Be the role model for that behavior you want to see in people. And I personally like storytelling. I like stories. I like, stories and analogies and different things because I think those really resonate, especially those type of parables, those type of things that people can take away, go, oh, okay, that's like this, that's like that, understand it. So I think people really own those things, and storytelling is a big component of it. I mean, that's wide as a communication piece. Because ultimately, culture is what's rewarded
Mhm.
when no one's watching.
Sure thing.
So reward the right stuff when no one's watching.
Absolutely. That resonates with me a lot, Jason. I am a big ambassador of lead by example. If you are not able to show the model, you don't have the right to ask your employees and society to do something different than what you cannot do. And sustainable culture also depends on developing the next generation, right? We talked about the hiring. Of course, we have to hire the right people. And building them is also one of the important aspect of creating culture and legacy. What advice do you give emerging leaders who want to step into bigger roles but doubt their readiness?
Love that question. And so many answers. I'll say motion beats motivation. So move before you feel ready. Readiness comes as a byproduct of motion. So get enough competence and then move. Readiness will show up. You know when you're ready? When you start moving. There you go. Because you'll be ready one way or the other. So it shows up, motion beats motivation.
Sure.
I'll say break aspiration
Mm-hmm.
into smaller chunks.
Sure thing.
Hey, I would love to get into cybersecurity. I'm going to aim at being a CISO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a big chunk to take, a big jump to take. Put the hard work in.
Mm-hmm.
Do the bits and pieces, the next step, the next step, the next step. So break those large aspirations into consumable chunks that are then achievable
Sure.
work that you can do. Hard work. Hard work makes life easier long term. Don't skip the steps because the steps are there to help make your life easier when you do take that next role, when you do find that leadership.
Sure
Don't
thing.
neglect relationships at the very beginning because you're not yet looking to be someone whose job relies on relational capital. Start now. Start putting those bits and pieces of trust in it. Start working on relational capital because at the end, when you hit that level of manager, director, senior director, assistant vice president, C level, EVP, whatever it is, you're going to really have already worked that skill out. So start working on those things early. And about early, drop the ego. Drop the ego early. That is one of the key components there. Readiness for emerging leaders, it's built in private long before it's recognized in public.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason, for that wonderful answer. Of course, dropping the ego and hard work, that is one of the important thing that I share with my mentees as well. Do not go for shortcuts. Do not really be just an opportunist. I have seen people, especially the youngsters who comes to the industry, becoming more opportunist than hardworking nowadays because of the remote work culture and the use of AI, things like that. But I feel sympathized to them because I think what make a good leader is the journey that you walk through. And if you are not walking through that journey, if you are taking some shortcuts, if you are taking an elevator, you are not going to get that true experience and a true wisdom to face more challenges in your life, either personal or professional life. So I completely agree with that hardworking aspect of leadership and employment. Legacy is built from lessons too, right? We talked a lot about legacy and, especially the ones we learn in the hard way. We just talked about the hardworking aspect of it too. What is the leadership lesson you wish you had learned earlier in your career?
I think I got 3.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1, you don't have to carry everything yourself. And in fact, you're never going to be able to carry everything yourself. So the sooner you realize that and start working on the synergies, the farther and faster you're going to go. We mentioned a little bit influence beats control.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is influence without mandate. You can be a leader and not have a title that says control, manager, supervisor. You can be a leader, and that counts in life as well. So influence beats control. And I guess the third thing is calm is a skill.
Sure.
You can learn it and you can practice it. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it.
Thank you, Jason. That's a lot of information. Jason, if you could give one message to every executive navigating complexity today, what it would be?
Complexity is not going away. Uncertainty is not going away. The only lever you fully control is the quality of your leadership. Another way I like to say it is be present, get a plan, make it happen.
Jason, I remember a question once you asked me, who is the real Dia outside of cybersecurity and leadership? And you asked me what you would like to do if you are not doing cybersecurity and if you are not in leadership. So I mentioned that I want to run an orphanage for the abandoned kids, and I want to run an old age home for the elderly people
Yeah,
who
I recall.
doesn't have anyone. And I also want to run a dog care center all in one complex because it believe that they will help each other. I want to return that question to you. If Jason Elrod is not the CISO, not the founder of Seamless Cyber, what you would like to do? Who you are out of all that?
Well, okay, so it's an interesting question, but I love the question. And if you're interested in it, go check out my podcast, Drink Coffee, Do Cool Stuff. Because
Okay.
at the end of the day, if there were no requirements, I'd probably drink coffee and do cool stuff with people of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe learning and leaving a legacy and having that leverage out there in the world is extremely important. I love learning. I'm a voracious learner. And so I would continue to do that. And so, in my most succinct fashion, I drink coffee and I would do cool stuff with people of purpose because I find when there's somebody of purpose, somebody who's passionate about what they're going to do in something, I can learn so much more from just hanging out with them for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour than I could in college program, any academia, any structured program, any certificate. I think life is lived in the moment.
Sure thing.
And I would do more of that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jason. That means a lot. And to close our conversation, I want to shift gears into a rapid fire insight round. It's all about your journeys. You mentioned about learning. Do you have any specific book that you want to suggest to the audience?
Oh, gosh. No, probably nothing specific right now.
Sure.
Right now, I'm reading a bunch of fiction because I used to be reading a bunch of leadership books out there. There are always some good
Mhm.
ones out there. I do like Daniel Pink has some good stuff out there, and I do like Malcolm Gladwell, and I do like a few of those other authors. One of the good books that I do recommend, super easy read. How about this? The One Thing. So read
Mhm.
The One Thing.
Mhm.
I think that's a good book to go check out.
Very nice. Thank you, Jason. And one habit that keeps you sharp. What is it?
Daily meditation.
Very nice. I know it is a rapid fire question, but do you want to expand a little bit on that?
Daily meditation keeps me sharp.
Sure thing. Easy. Very nice.
Daily meditation, move daily,
Mhm.
get 7 to 9 hours of sleep if you can, and find some contemplation time.
One misconception about CISOs you want to correct.
That it's a technical role. Absolutely not. So if it's a very, very small organization, yeah, you might have to have some technical expertise because you have to understand cybersecurity, which is technical risk, which is information security in a technical risk context. But information security, the chief information security officer, is an organizational risk executive. So you have to look at things in a much wider scope. It does require some technical understanding, but it does not require a vast level of technical skill. That's not the role.
Thing completely understand. And one leadership value you refuse to compromise. What is it?
One leadership value I refuse to compromise: integrity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jason, for sharing all your wisdom. And it's a lot of information, and I'm sure that our audience is going to get a lot of understanding and knowledge from this session. And thank you again for joining me today. And it was a honor for me to host you here in the Power Leader podcast.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It's been a great time. Thank you very much, Dia.
Thank you so much, Jason. Before you leave, do you have anything else to share with the audience?
If people want to get in touch with you, can go ahead and follow me on LinkedIn. I'm there at the Jason Elrod on LinkedIn. I also have a YouTube channel, Limitless Cyber, right? At Limitless Cyber. And that also is my website if you want to go there and check out some of the things, including the podcast. So at limitlesscyber.com. And the podcast is called Drink Coffee, Do Cool Stuff. And that's available on Spotify and everywhere else as well.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you.
Let's say thanks again to Jason for sitting with us today and for speaking to the soul of the community of leaders. What he shared is not just knowledge, it is a lived wisdom which reminds us that the leadership is not about control or perfection. It is about influence, trust, and the courage to stay calm in uncertainty. As we close today's conversation, may every leader remember that legacy is built not in titles, but in clarity, humility, and purpose we leave behind. Subscribe to the Power Leader podcast, a movement dedicated to helping society face both the comfortable and uncomfortable truths that transform lives, careers, and perspectives. It is not just a show, it is a journey of awakening, a movement with no finish line, guiding you to become the kind of leader the future deserves. This is the Power Leader podcast. Signing off, Dia.